for me, when I saw this song start to pop off, it's because of the Shake It to the Max challenge. Everybody who knows the song knows that challenge. The thing where you cover your face and then you like gyrate your hips and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, Sam. I don't know if this is a... I'm sorry,
I'm laughing because gyrate your hips is just funny.
The description
coming from you is just a
yeah,
weird,
but that's what it is. No, but that's what it is. That's what the challenge is.
Unataka nini? Mbona guza ukirudisha unataka nini? Na unapayuka, unataka nini? Unani threat unani bohu detu linki. Nani wango, unataka nini? Mbona finya ukirudisha unataka nini? Na unapayuka, unataka nini? Nani threat unani bohu detu linki. Nani wango, unataka nini?
Nikona penga dai dress antaka mini. Na akona mashi ucheza rafja mashilingi. Yeah, kani gang keep it smaller daya feelings. No, ngori kani ambogi jot na kamwa wili. Juu, kani vayo miaka mbao Mr. GCV. Na ustake zogo kauna juu ta catch my feelings. Nasikia mna banja but kuslide ilishinda pickings. Me, go very choosy, close your blind wantaka piki. Na kani damage.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 129 of the 30% podcast. 129. My name is Sam, as you know from the previous 128 episodes, and I'm joined by Afam, who has been with us for the previous 128 episodes as well. Afam, what's up?
What's up, man? How are you?
I am decent. I am trying to stay alive, trying to stay alive and succeeding. Yeah. How are you? What's going on?
I'm glad that you're successful in that endeavor. I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. Just had my week has been it's been okay. It's been hopeful. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see is very hopeful language, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have... like I said in a previous podcast, I feel like my life, in a weird way, when I'm out here, it's just a little bit less...
muted. You're living a muted life. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I know is contrary to popular belief. So, yeah, but I'm good otherwise, man.
What is popular belief? Go out and start some trouble. Go out and just make a mark. Make a mark on the city of New York. Make a mark. Like just do something.
Okay, have you ever met me?
I think so, a few times. I don't know. Do I
look like the guy who's going to go out into the city and make a mark?
Like go run across Times Square and yell something. I don't know. Just do something important that will get you on the news and leave a little piece of you in the history of the city. That's what I'm saying. I think you can, honestly. I believe in you.
I feel like the only way to do that is to do something illegal, bro. Are you trying to make me do something illegal?
I'm not the one who suggested that. It's that was up to you. But no. It's all right. It's sometimes, I guess, in life you have phases. Maybe this is your chilled phase. When you come to Kenya, you can run riot again, like you did when you were here.
What are you gonna say? Run around? What? That's.
I didn't want to go running around today.
Yeah. No. It's fine. No, I'll remember that. Yes, that's a threat.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mean it as one, but what did they say?
No.
You're not responsible for. You're responsible for what you communicate, not how people interpret it. Is that what they say? I feel like I'm not getting the wording right, but that's the idea. So.
But that's such bullshit. Like, bro, like if I come into a room and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you, right? How? And then after that, somebody's like, wait, he threatened my life, and I was like, wait, nah. You're responsible for how you interpret whatever. I meant kill in the sense that...
But there's people who are used to that language and they know, like, say, yo, I'm like, it's when you say it doesn't mean you're actually going to take my life. It means you're going to, there will be severe consequences that don't result in death for whatever action I have done previously. So it's communication. Now people can and the thing about that is people can take the same sentence. I mean, take the sentence that you said, they can interpret it in multiple ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's not up to me to ensure that you've...
It kind of is.
I don't know.
It kind of is, because some things might result in... Some things might result in the loss of the life that you have been so careful to successfully, you know what I mean? So you need to be careful in what you say either way, because if it's misinterpreted and your face is on the tarmac,
the misinterpretation,
it's too late.
Yeah,
yeah, it's too late for that. You know what I mean?
Well, so, that's true. I mean, anyway, that's very true in the age of podcasting.
I'm just arguing for arguing's sake. And yes, bro, podcasting is not the place to
get your words miscued. Or it is. Maybe that helps. Apart from that, so you've just been chilling. I have done absolutely nothing, so please don't ask, because it's going to be a very boring segment.
Well, I'm sure you've done something. It's just nothing of note. Sometimes, you know, we'll be doing things, Sam and I, it's just not like...
I mean, it's regular life things. I'm not going to... I went on errands. Like, no one wants to listen to that.
Somebody might actually take our words to like be like, wait, this guy actually did nothing this week. No, we do things. It's just like, do we do things that you guys would find interesting?
It's not like I'm just waking up and sitting down and doing nothing with my life. No, it's... no.
I feel like there's somebody there there's somebody out there who thinks that's what we mean when we're like, oh no, I didn't do anything this week.
Yo, look at this bunch of lazy bums. Have we been coming up as...
bro.
Oh no, you need to do more. You need to do more so you don't come off as lazy bums. I think that's the...
Yeah, because usually I feel like I like to share things that I've done that are more music industry related.
Yeah.
And that's when I'll be like, oh yeah, I did this and that and the third, you know.
That makes sense. Speaking of the news, the headlines. The marquee, what do you call those things? The marquee. I don't even think that's an actual thing that I'm going to say. Yeah, I guess I'm so sorry. We can get into some of the things that went on. Where do we start? I think we should start with the big one, which was Apple Music launching the Sounds of Africa campaign. I don't know if you paid attention to that this week. Yeah. I mean, the story itself, I don't think is like super major because it's talking about a playlist, right? And playlists are created every day. But I think it has a lot of implications, which is really why...
Hey, but listen, playlisting is important, man. Playlisting in this age is a huge tool for discovery.
Yeah. So
for music discovery.
Yes. So Apple Music, with the help of DJ, how do you say his name? DJ Grouchy? Yeah. DJ Grouchy. Curated a 1 hour set. Oh, it's not a set. It's a playlist, a 1 hour playlist. So this is on Apple Music. Just to highlight some of the sounds of Nairobi, sounds of Kenya, Nairobi, among 4 other cities. So the playlist is spotlight and highlight the 5 African influential music cities. So the cities that are, known for music and cities that I guess worldwide are recognized for that. So Nairobi is one of them. Of course, you have, let me not say of course, but then we have Lagos. Lagos is the pulse of Afrobeats. I like this little descriptions of theirs. The pulse of Afrobeats is Lagos. Johannesburg is a city of revolution and rhythm. Accra, the birthplace of high life. Dar es Salaam, a coastal cultural powerhouse. And then Nairobi goes where genres and cultures collide. First of all, what do you think of the cities? Do you think
interesting?
It's a
wait. Where are you reading this article? Because I don't have the same descriptions because I'm reading. Wait, where are you reading your article from?
Never reveal your sources. Never.
Oh, okay. But mine is different. Anyway, okay, fine. It's fine. But mine is a different one. I actually like that description because it's very in theme with what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But what did they describe Nairobi as again?
Nairobi is where genres and cultures collide, which is so. It's really what we've been saying about the Nairobi market.
It's everything
since time, because Nairobi is like a huge melting pot. So
real quick, did you ask me a question? Sorry, before I interrupted you.
Yeah, just like first off, what do you think of the cities? Do you think that any cities were left out, or?
I mean, I don't know. So I wouldn't know if. I don't think so. I think in terms of just like looking at Africa from like a corporation's eyes, like Apple Music, like this would be what they would prioritize in terms of like cities. But obviously there's definitely so many places that have so much good music to offer. So I'm pretty confident in saying that there's places that have been left out on this list. But I do like this list. At least it addresses East, South, and West Africa. It doesn't really
North
it
Africa
doesn't really
always
represent like
is always an awkward spot, isn't it?
but no, it's not awkward. It's just the fact that it's usually viewed in conjunction with the Middle East.
Yeah.
So that market is kind of like separate from Sub-Saharan Africa in that regard. So I get it, but it does feel a bit exclusive when this is the sounds of Africa and the North African countries are not included. I do find the descriptions very interesting. And okay, before we even get to why I think they would have described Nairobi that way, what do you think of DJ Grouchy's like selections for the songs? Because he starts with like Susanna by Sauti Sol, and just like in quick time, like there's a lot of like oldies in this list, and there's a lot of the Afro pop sound with like the Ben Souls and the Sauti Souls and the Kodong clans, and then there's also a lot of there's actually a fair amount of like R&B.
Yes. Yeah, it almost seems like he had a thought process you can almost tell what he's thinking as he's putting each of the songs on the list. I feel like the list could possibly have been randomized a little bit more. But I don't know what the thought process in terms of the sequencing is, because sequencing is important, right? But yeah, it's a very decent list. It definitely highlights a lot of the popular music and artists that we've had in the past, like some of the foundations of like the popular Kenyan popular artistry and the new kids on the block. So yeah, I mean, having like Njerai on there is a big shout. Maya Molo is on there. Then Watanda Willie, and it's interesting that he also included he included Sauti Sol as a group and all of them individually. That's cool. And then hip hop, I feel like hip hop was not. Maybe there might have been a little bit
there's
more.
Calligraph Jones.
Yeah.
There's Calligraph. There's Octopizzo. I think there's a Nyashinsky one.
Yeah, GOAT.
Aside from that, there's no
Kahush.
There's not
Kahush
that
is
much
on there. A bit of Brooklyn Boys.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's under the umbrella of hip hop. So I guess you would. Although I usually when I think of Kahush, I think Kilimani rappers. When I think of Brooklyn Boys, I'm just thinking drill. And then hip hop, I'm just always thinking now Calligraph and them.
Isn't that a symptom of just how segmented we
I think so.
Yeah, like when we think of rap, we don't think of rap as a whole. We're just thinking there's little pockets. But yeah, and then there's like a lot of older artists. Issa is on here, of course. K-Rupt, Wahoo.
Necessary Noise.
Yeah, Pili Pili. Oh, Nina Morale, I remember that joint. Oh my goodness, I need to sit down with this list now.
Hey, Morale was the shit, bro.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Camp Mula is on here. Imagine we have to talk about Camp Mula as being like one of the oldies now.
That's
Like,
kind of crazy.
How does that make you feel, Sam? That makes me feel uncomfortable.
It is weird. Like, yeah, I mean, it's been said a lot, but they were just, I think they're ahead of their time back then.
Is Major on this? No. Major has to be here. Matrax is here. Is Major not? No.
I mean,
no way Major.
We can't do that because then there'll be a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people we can say that for.
No, but Major has to.
Oh, you're arguing specifically for Major.
He has to be on this list. I can't see Major. Maybe I've just missed him.
No,
if Major is not on this list, I'm fighting with somebody.
Fighting with some. Anyway, but so it's a playlist on Apple Music. I hope they find a way to someone like just remix it for Spotify as well. But it's a good playlist, man. It's a good place to go down memory lane. Some of these songs definitely, like Hahe with Just a Band. I mean, some of the songs definitely like have a place in culture. Giddy Giddy Maji Maji and and the new ones, Set It and the future oldies. The future oldies. So shout out to him, and I guess everyone who helped him curate this, if he did not do it alone.
And Apple Music for
highlighting this.
For even having the initiative in the first place. So the reason why Sam and I found this very interesting, and the reason why like this is news to me, the description they gave for Nairobi. What was it again? The description for Nairobi, a melting pot of culture.
Let me pull that up again. It is where genres and cultures collide. So yeah, a melting pot of culture.
Exactly. Where genres and cultures collide. I think that's very interesting because when I was looking at the 5 cities mentioned, Nairobi, Accra, Dar es Salaam, Lagos, and Johannesburg, I noticed that. And I don't know if this is going to be controversial to say, but I feel as though Nairobi is... I feel like Nairobi is in this list because we are indeed a music hub in the continent. But I think we are a music hub in the sense that we are very cultural, or we're very culturally tapped into the music scenes, as well as we are a big consumer of music in the continent. And my point isn't that we don't produce a lot of music. I feel like we get a little bit overlooked when it comes to the music that we do produce. I don't think that we are on this list because we produce music that is influencing like these other cities as much as we consume a lot of music, and we're just like a culturally really tapped in place. And this is like Nairobi is where music goes to thrive, and so we have to be on this list.
That's interesting.
But we are on this list as consumers, and for me I feel like that's a bit like, I don't know, it's a bit worrying in the sense that I would like to be on this list because
of the music we're creating.
Yes, because of the music we are creating and the influence we are putting on the rest of the continent.
Yeah.
Now, somebody might be listening to this and completely disagreeing with me, but
I was
this
just
is
thinking
just
about
what
it, like,
I think.
Yeah, our perspective is a very local perspective, right? Because somebody outside could be like, Nairobi is.
Somebody outside could be like whatever.
Yeah, we can't really gauge our impact from the inside. So
that's true. And then also Sam, in like before when we were doing pre-production, like you mentioned like the music that's kind of broken the boundaries in terms of like the Sophie and Zaos and Ida Aziz's, and so that could also be counting towards us being placed on this list. And I do agree that could be the case, but I just feel like Nairobi is just like a cultural hub and a place where music and culture just goes to mix, and we consume all of that, and we also create trends. But it's the music. Like, is the music influencing the rest of the continent? That's the question, I guess. That's the question I'm trying to answer.
Yeah. And so I guess the question now becomes, how do we switch that up? How do you
switch the narrative?
Yeah.
Because, and I think it's important to switch the narrative. I don't want to just be the consumers or the market that people leverage for their own good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise we just become an important data set for people to use in terms of, okay, Nairobi is a great place to come and perform shows. It's a great place to have great engagement on social media, because everyone knows like how good at like Twitter and TikTok the Kenyan audience is, you know what I mean? But like, are we a place where people can come and like invest in our music industry? That is the question. And I think this is the second time we've kind of brought Chat GPT into the equation. Sometimes I think it's nice bringing Chat GPT and seeing what Chat GPT kind of thinks on certain questions, and talking about that together. Talk about integrating AI into our daily life. And there were some points that it brought in the sense of us kind of figuring out how to change the narrative from Kenya just being a consumer to being a massive contributor to culture within the continent. And the first point that it gave that I found very interesting, Sam, was one thing that we need to do as an industry is dominate digital spaces, which I feel like Kenyans already do really well, but we do really well for other people aside from our own. So it says why it matters. Music consumption is now global, fast, and mobile first. And actionable steps we can take to achieve this is push content heavily on TikTok, YouTube, etc. Create challenge-friendly songs to go viral. And then lastly, get on editorial playlists on Spotify Africa, Apple Music, and Deezer. What do you think about this point? Because I have a strong... There's something I have about this point that I want to share, but I want to hear what you think first.
I would say so. I mean, when you look at the data, Kenya is one of the Kenya has one of the highest presences, if that's a word, in terms of like social media and whatnot, right? We consume a lot of, like, again, we're consumers, so we consume a lot. So we have presence in those spaces. So now it's using our presence in those spaces to push the music and to put us out there, right? And flip the script from being consumers to producers. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's in terms of like things like TikTok, YouTube, and them, like it's where we are there, and there's a lot of commenting and there's a lot of interaction with them. I guess where it's in terms of just the music business will now be on the playlisting playlisting side of it, where it might take a little bit more than just people being in presence. Although if we do consume music a lot, maybe then the playlist curators will curate more music for where the consuming is happening the most. So I don't know. What's your controversial?
It's not really controversial. One, just to go along with that, I think we need more Kenyans in those positions within the streaming companies.
Yes.
To also make those decisions about what songs go on which playlists. Okay, does that sound a little bit I'm not gonna like corrupt in quotes, but that's what everyone does. Like somebody like you need people of your, like people who understand dope Kenyan music,
Yeah.
to even be in you need them to be in the room to vouch for Kenyan music that's good, because everyone is gonna vouch for what they think is good, and that's why, like, whenever people are talking about like black representation, for example, like in America, and they're always like, oh, it's only white people in these boardrooms making decisions, blah blah blah, and that's the reason you need a black person in the room to vouch for black culture. And in the same way, I think we need more Kenyans in higher positions to also vouch for Kenyans. So in that sense, it's not corrupt. You get what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like if you look at some of the labels in the West, and you'll find a lot of Nigerians placed. Maybe it's no coincidence that Nigerian music blew up the way it did, because there's just a lot of people who are finding themselves in these positions, and they might not be natives, like not like live there, but then there's definitely, like, I get your point. There's definitely a use for them being in these spots, because then you promote your own useful nepotism.
So we need more of that. Also, in terms of dominating digital spaces, I wanted to talk about like Molly as a case study. Molly is a famous Ghanaian artist, most known for her song Shake It to the Max, which has been remixed 3 billion times by so many people. The biggest remix, I guess, would be with Skillibeng and Shensia. And bro, like that song has taken her so far. I've seen her, like, every time I see her on social media, she's in a different country. She's in New York one day, next time she's in the Caribbean, next time she's where, like, she's all over the place. And for me, when I saw this song start to pop off, it's because of the Shake It to the Max challenge. Everybody who knows the song knows that challenge. The thing where you cover your face and then you like gyrate your hips and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, Sam. I don't know if this is a... I'm sorry, I'm laughing because
gyrate your hips is just funny.
The description
coming from you is just
but that's what it is. No, but that's what it is. That's what the challenge is. But the thing that for me, when I noticed this as a trend, I noticed so many Kenyans doing it. Like at the beginning, like when it started like really popping off, it was Kenyans who were doing that trend heavy. And I remember Molly would repost a lot of Kenyan TikTokers doing the trend on her page. She would repost a lot of that stuff. And it's like, low key, I feel like the reason, well, I wouldn't put it all down to Kenyans making Shake It to the Max like a hit, but Kenyans had a huge part to play in that song being a hit. I don't know if I'm being delusional. That's just my observation from being on social media.
I feel like it's TikTok gave you content from your area that was blowing up. I don't know. I feel like maybe someone out there would have gotten content that was more catered to them, and they'd probably think that it was Ghana that blew it up. So, but
it's highly possible. But then you can't discount the fact that I said Molly was reposting a lot of these Kenyan accounts that were doing the dance. Yeah, so that's also a thing. So anyway, I think we should, with the same amount of vigor, we were doing the dance for Shake It to the Max. And right now there's a lot of Kenyans also doing another trend for Skillibeng, which, by the way, it's a fire song that is about to release. Anyway, like, we need to be doing the same stuff for our own in-house artists, is my point. Because listen, those small trends can literally break an artist to the point where they're bro, I was just walking down the street here in Brooklyn and somebody was bumping Shake It to the Max in their car loudly. I'm like, bro, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And Molly, I'm not gonna lie, like, I think Molly is highly talented, but I don't think what she does in music is like so far off that Kenyans can't like do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it goes back to the conversation that is had a lot in terms of just like marketing ourselves and the music. I think that's one of the areas where we suffer, and then the music ends up being, even though it's good and it could be world class, it could play on the world stage, it just doesn't carry over into those markets. So yeah, it's things like that. And social media, of course, is the number one marketing tool these days. It's no longer about the other older legacy mediums that existed. So Yeah, that's important. There's a lot of
what's the second one?
So
what's the second? Oh, sorry.
Before I get there, there's a lot of things that I've seen people do that I've not seen a lot. I mean, we're starting to catch on to it, but I've not seen a lot of it being done. Like the trend of releasing your song before releasing it. You know, like on TikTok, like people release their music before they release it, and for months and months, they're teasing that song.
That was the case with that. I was just gonna say that's the case with "Shake It to the Max."
Yeah.
Like that song was out, and everyone was like, "Where's the song?"
Exactly.
Like I used to go on Spotify looking for it, but it hadn't come out yet. But it was already trending.
Yeah, that's like been. That's really all my TikTok algorithm is these days. Is just songs that are not released yet, and people in the comments saying, "Has it dropped?" But I've seen a couple of people do it locally, but then. Probably those are just one of the tools that we could utilize in terms of release anticipation. And if you now pair that with like challenges and everything and just playing the social media game, then your music carries and it has the potential to break those barriers. The next one would be to control the narrative. Right. So things like launching podcasts, blogs, shows that highlight local artists, pitching stories to global music press, and then showcasing our artists and our art in like major African events like Afrima, Coke Studio, and the like. So, yeah, control the narrative.
So for me, this point is, it's not like we don't have podcast. I mean, we're literally on a podcast talking about Kenyan music,
we're part
right?
of it, yes.
So exactly. So it's not like we don't have podcast, blogs, YouTube shows and stuff that highlight local music. We do. I think we need to be more aggressive about it though.
Yeah.
And we need to have way more of these outlets than we currently do. And I think I gave this example in a different podcast. One small part that I observed, or one place I observed our lack of, is when I was trying to do promo for IRL, the projects that I released. I was looking for potential blogs to reach out to be like, yo, I released a song, like maybe you guys can highlight me, etc., right? And I did that for Kenya and I did that for like other countries in the continent. But if we're just talking about like Nigeria, when I tell you they have so many different blogs for just highlighting music, it's insane. And I know their population is way higher than us.
way higher.
But still, Sam, they have so many blogs. And not all of them are going to be big, but they'll have blogs that are like even just like followed by 1,000 people, 2,000 people. But you can see this is a page dedicated to covering artists and stuff like that. We need way more of that. Like way more. Like I can count up to like 15 or 20 of them doing the same thing here in Kenya, but we need way more. And we need to even niche down on them even more. The reason being is the more we have like a niche Kenyan R&B page, right? And we have 8 different pages like covering the Kenyan R&B scene. We have 8 different pages covering the Kenyan drill scene, 8 different pages covering the Kenyan trap and hip hop scene, and so forth, right? It'll begin to kind of make this picture of something really going on, something really bubbling. And I think the reason why we don't have as many pages is because we don't have as many people invested into covering and documenting what's happening in the scene right now.
Yeah.
And that detracts from the original point, which is controlling the narrative. We need to make the narrative that Kenyan music is so important that there's all these different things promoting it, all these different podcasts promoting. Mm-hmm. We need more podcasts. We need a podcast that's solely dedicated to covering the ins and outs of the urban tone scene. Like, imagine if there was a podcast doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they talk about. Like, all the drama surrounding Tipsy G. You know what I mean? Like, or we have just one podcast dedicated to Kenyan R&B, and it's just like talking about that. You know, then if you have so many of these different outlets, it begins to like feel like, wow, like this industry is so dynamic and so much is happening.
I guess the question for me with that comes in, so would you create those for consumption here, or would you create that those to be able to be palatable to the Kenyan people first, or would you create it to be palatable to the outside world while still being palatable to Kenya? I don't know if my question makes sense.
The second one.
You'll create it for outside first.
Because while still being palatable to Kenya. Because I think that the point will be to obviously, one, document. Two, is for Kenyans to relate and also discover. But three, I also want the international audience to discover, because ultimately, the more eyes we have on our artists in our niches, the better for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you never know who might listen to my podcast speaking about the niche, genres, and who that might influence to come and like start making music like with those people, just off of the strength of them like bumping into a blog on Instagram and seeing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for us to have more of those.
Yeah. Or like, and we've seen a couple of artists, I mean, get on the global music press in terms of the platforms with like not the fader, but then I think it was On the Radar. I think Casey is a diaspora artist, which is part of a later point we'll talk about. But then he was On the Radar, and then like The Colors, which was
it's actually the next point.
Yeah, The Colors. What do you call it? It's not a show. the artists who were featured on Colors recently, as part of the initiative to like just bring light to what's happening. So, yeah, I mean it's definitely important. The more it's really about image if you think about it. So the more you're seen outside, the more people see you as an important player in whatever market that is, and then the industry and the industry just begins to move in that direction and make yourself important.
It's also about.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's also about packaging, you know, because like it's not that we fundamentally need to change the content that we are creating. We just need to make it seem as though it's bigger. It's fun. Like this, like if everyone is covering all this content, then people internationally will start to wonder why. Why is there so, you know, why does it feel like there's such a buzz? So it's really just about packaging, and it's just packaging the same content that we already have.
I get that point. I would push back on that a bit, but I think at some point, see, I don't want to sound bad, but then at some point we might need to create, and I'm speaking in terms of there's been a lot of pushback on the type of content we create and whether it's good enough to play in the international space. And sometimes I'm partly on that side where I think that yes, okay, we can. It's about packaging, it's about marketing, it's about what you tell people is what they're going to believe, you know. But then I do think that, especially when it comes to art, like at some point we can't it can't just be as our way through things. Like we are going to have to create at a high level as well. But yeah, I think that point goes hand in hand. I think that it goes hand in hand because I feel like the more eyes we have on the industry, the more influx of investment that we'll have, and then the quality will also go up at the same time. So you can't sit down and just wait for us to magically just have the highest quality of music. Like we have to also just like start somewhere, you know what I mean? Start building the hype. And then once that hype comes, the money will come, the specialization will come. I feel like then the quality will also
increase. So we just need to like start like really like heavily documenting what's happening. The next point, which Sam kind of mentioned about like KC in the diaspora. The next point is leveraging diaspora influence. And why it matters. Diaspora communities often act as cultural amplifiers, and the actionable steps, and I think this is one of the most important ones, is collaborate with second-gen African artists abroad. The second point is submit music to diaspora-focused radio shows and blogs. And number 3 is perform in diaspora-heavy cities such as London, Minneapolis, Toronto, and Atlanta. But I just want to zero in on that point of collaborating with second-gen African artists. I think that would be so, like KC, for example, who, you know, has collaborated with the likes of Kanye West, for example.
Yeah,
I believe he's also done music with like Lancey Foe from the UK, for example, right? Bro, if KC releases a song and it has AJ from Brooklyn Boys, for example, right?
Yeah, that's a big look.
That will put so many eyes on Brooklyn Boys and AJ and all that audience that KC has built for himself will kind of be curious about like who AJ is. Because I do appreciate that KC went on the radar and put the Kenyan flag on the microphone and stuff. Like, that's cool. But I don't know if that makes the foreign audience want to now listen to Kenyan music. I think they'll just be like, ooh, KC is super Kenyan. I like it. Nice. But it's not going to make them... It's not going to convince them to like listen to Kenyan music. And this isn't like me saying KC isn't doing enough. He's doing a lot to highlight like the Kenyan, at least his Kenyan roots. But
And
I'm
I
saying
don't even
if
think
KC
it's
was...
his, I don't think it's
not.
his
It's not.
responsibility. Like, you don't have to, you know.
I'm not saying it's his responsibility, but I'm saying if it was me though, like if it was me, if I was in that position, that's what I'm finna do, right? I'm because I don't know, maybe I'm different because I've grown up in Kenya primarily, but if I'm in the position and I have a huge audience, I'm not just gonna give a collaboration to anyone, but if somebody is genuinely like fire, like, bro, I'm doing that. Because, bro, like Pink Panthers, super Kenyan, by the way. Shout out to Pink Panthers. If you're listening to this.
Yo, keep it pushing, man. Keep it moving.
Victoria, listen.
Are you calling her by her first name?
If you're trying to collaborate, goodness. If you're trying to, if you're trying to work with some Kenyans, I know some Kenyan producers. Anyway, it's the same thing. If Pink Panthers was to collaborate with Kenyans in some way, shape, or form, and by this also not just in music, it could even be like in terms of brand things, activations, like wearing like a Kenyan brand or something, whatever the idea is. It puts such a huge light on the scene. And yes, I know it's hard. It's a tough ask, and it's not like necessarily. It's not even tough, but like it's not like you said, it's not necessarily their responsibility. But if they chose to do such things, a lot would come out of that for sure. For sure, man. And yeah, for me, that's a big point. I think it's important for the second gen, like,
artists,
Kenyans,
wherever they are,
in that sense,
to connect. The next one, I guess, would be to create flagship events. The whole event conversation has been like a really huge one, I think, in the recent 2 years. And this kind of plays into that. So launch a uniquely Kenyan music festival with a continental appeal. Host listening parties, cyphers, and pop-ups that blend fashion, food, and music. And then invite foreign industry stakeholders, such as DJs, curators, label reps, label managers, whatever, to those events, right? So whatever festival it is. The third one, just inviting people. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? That's a very basic. Like, if you have a big event and you want to make yourself, I mean, give yourself some presence in other markets. You invite the people who are in those other markets and who sort of control the markets to come and check out what's happening, and then it gives you a better chance of doing that. But this is an interesting one because kind of go down the rabbit hole of because we know we do have events. We have events that are notable and they've been around for quite a while, and they garner some attendance. The question becomes: do they have enough attendance from outside to be able to do what we're asking it to do? Yeah.
And I think that's the most important point, because I feel like in terms of hosting listening party ciphers, I feel like people do that, and in terms of inviting foreign industry stakeholders, I think that's been done. I don't think Kenyans are not thinking about doing such things, but in terms of that, having a music festival that has continental appeal, that's an idea, man. Because I'm thinking about like, what are the big events that we have, when we talk about like Oktoberfest, Soulfest, Blankets and Wine,
Koroga Festival.
What else do we have?
Beneath the Baobabs, Kilifi New Year.
Beneath the Baobabs and everything. Like, these are really, really good festivals. Don't get me wrong. But I think we need, and I think like Beneath the Baobabs, for example, I've never been, to be honest, but like, I know there's DJs and stuff from other countries that come and all that stuff. Especially, and I think even especially in the UNT scene, we have a lot of like international DJs and all that stuff coming to perform these shows, and that's great. That's a good step. I think we need big events that like will inspire like artists, like the big artists from Zimbabwe, the big artists from Tanzania, some of the artists from South Africa,
Chris Brown,
some Nigerian, to all congregate into one. Yeah, Chris Brown, to all congregate into one festival and see what happens. Now, I know we're kind of building castles in the air because it's easy and to do that on a podcast, but obviously the amount of investment for that and the coordination would be insane. But still, I think it would be insane if we had a festival to that scale, because also having all these different guys come to the country for this event, and also there's people who are from those countries who would fly in to experience the event because they want to see their big artists and everything. That would be sick. But you see, the solution for this, step one, would be creating like the venues that would be able to hold these high level type of concerts. But bro, that would do so much for our industry. You have no idea. Because when these artists are in the country, it's not like they'll just be here specifically for the music thing. They're also going to interact with the artists within the country. They're going to make music with the artists. Like, our sound is going to be infused with theirs. They might take some things that we do back home, and therefore like the Kenyan sound begins to spread more. You know what I mean? So we just need more of these type of events, and we need to scale them up and make it feel like a thing, that the whole continent wants to be part of. And then that'll kind of like highlight Kenya as not only as a consumer of music everywhere, but also as a huge contributor to the music scene in general.
That's true.
The continent.
That's true. And all these things are like, for us to reach the threshold, to reach the goal that we're trying to achieve, all of these things work together. It's not going to be just one specific thing. Like, it's not going to be the event alone. It's going to be like a totality of everything that we've sort of talked about, that would give the Kenyan music scene the weight it needs to be able to play, and the light it needs to be able to attract the attention of the people outside. So, events is a really big one. It's something we've struggled with recently. It's something that is on a lot of people's minds, I think. it's something that has I would say given Kenya a little bit of a negative in the past, rather, giving Kenya a little bit of a negative reputation when it comes to that. But it is something that we're looking at and trying to solve. At least I know the conversation is very prominent outside about Kenyan events and how can we get them to the quality of outside, and not even very far, like even the rest of Africa, and then also like in the West and East and North and South. But yeah, you get it right.
Okay. Yeah, man. And the last point, and this one I'll just be very brief with it because it's been like so many people talk about this point all the
to
time.
the ground,
and which is to the ground. Yeah, and it's us defining and owning a unique sound. They give examples. Wide matters. Nigeria has Afrobeat. South Africa has Amapiano. Kenya needs a consistent, exportable sonic identity. Okay, actionable steps: invest in developing and marketing unique genres like Gengeton or Benga in a polished, global-ready form. Encourage fusions with global sounds while retaining local rhythm and language. So this point, I grapple with it because I do like the fact that our industry is so sonically diverse and unique. I like it. I like the fact that we're so different. But I also do see the appeal of packaging Kenya into like one sound that everyone would like. I don't know. It's touch and go for me. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think it is necessary for at least a sound to push culture. In order just to make it easier to identify. Now, some people might argue that we can identify Kenya by a number of different sounds, but then just how the music industry works is it's very minimalistic. They like to focus on a few things at once rather than a million different genres. So, yeah, it's a conversation that my thinking is maybe it's not what we think it is. It's going to be. Maybe we are fighting for it to be. We are fighting for our imagination of what a Kenyan sound is going to be. Again, it might just come off. It's something that comes off from a culture primarily rather than a studio. And even if it's like a sound that's created in the studio, it's backed up a lot by what's going on outside of the studio, or at least I think so. So that's an ongoing thing. It's less manufactured, more experienced, I guess. So I don't know. I don't have the answers to that, but I do know that the conversation the conversation we've been having seems to be more built on us going into the studio and create a sound and have everyone jump on it, and then that's how we push it. But I think it's more on the outside of those rooms. So it's important. Yeah. It's important. Culture. Music pushes culture, and culture is really is everything. So, and all of this for us to be able to play, like, people need to see our culture as important enough for them to want to include in whatever space they're in, right? So it definitely plays into that. So yeah, man, those are some of the things that we could do to move from being just consumers and actually have play in the market. Now we're on our way there. This is not to say that we are at ground zero.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because people are doing some of these things already. So, yeah, bro. In terms of just like other things that have been happening, and I forgot to talk about this in terms of like us exporting our artists to the diaspora and everything. We need to sort out the whole visa issue, because every single time an artist is scheduled to perform out there, there's always a story about how they couldn't get their visa. And there's another one with Charisma, because he just had to cancel his Australia tour because I know, man. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing Charisma out there, but it seems to happen to a lot of them, man. So I don't think it means that he's not going to perform, because they're going to sort it out. Yeah. But it's a bummer, you know? So we need to. Somebody in the government needs to like take control of this. I
Who is
don't
in
know. I
charge
feel
of
like
the
it's a
music?
government
Who is
thing.
in charge of the music?
I don't know who's in charge of this type of things.
What are they doing? But yeah, no, it's kind of
Yeah,
sad.
bro. Because it's such
so cringe.
it's such a missed opportunity to. It's cringe. Yeah, it's such a missed opportunity for us to what's the word? For us to not distribute, but for us to share our culture with the rest of the world. Essentially. So,
and if it keeps happening, then you
up.
get a reputation of it's a Kenyan artist. We can just deny. It's like it's like it needs to be important. The music needs to be so important that the government is like, no, let them through. We'll deal with it. Let them through. So, hopefully he gets that and he's able to go out there. I'm sure there's people working on that. But yeah.
Yes,
we could mention something else.
Was there any other news?
Yeah, just real quick. In very minor CMO drama. This time it's not drama. It's just a little bit of a point. A musician who's been around for a minute, Dan Aseda. He's been a banger musician. He's been pretty outspoken about banger music and the importance of the history of it. And he's also part of. He's part of the Sema Box movement, Sema Box Africa movement. He's worked in film and everything. So he's been nominated. He hasn't been nominated. He's been appointed to the Kekobo copy board. As one of the board members, along with Sarah Migwi and Agatha Karani. And I wanted to highlight. This is important, at least to me, because I like to see some of our our older Kenyan artists begin to take these positions, because I think they know sort of what has been happening and they've been on the ground and they know what they've been through, and so then they're able to hopefully, promisingly work on these things for the future generations of music, the music now, and then the younger artists who are coming up. So it's just a thing. I do hope that his presence there as an artist, as an experienced artist, as someone who speaks out positively and optimistically about Kenyan music. I hope that he's able to enact some positive change that not only affects Kekobo, but affects the rest of the music, that part of the music business,
sir.
So yeah, shout out to him. Hopefully he does a good job and we will be watching.
Yeah, for sure, man. I agree with everything you've said, essentially. So I wanted to talk about new music. Actually, Mandy's song with AJ is finally up on YouTube, so shout out to them. I guess Bro's oath didn't go through. Anyway, new music, we have Dan Accords.
What a funny story that one was.
Dan Accords and Toxic Lyrically released their song Get Busy, also came with a video. This is the year of Toxic Lyrically, and I feel like Dan Accords' breakout year was last year. But this
I think she's still on her breakout.
For Toxic Lyrically.
I think her breakout was last year. I think she's still on her breakout run though.
She is. She's in her breakout period, but her breakout year was last year. And Toxic Lyricallis is this year. So this is his time. I hope he keeps releasing music, good music, because he has confirmation. Let's see. There was Leave You, Steph Capella, Grr, and Hook released. They released GR, sorry. They released the EP. So shout out to Steph. They've really been working and releasing these as singles. Let's see. There was Felicity, X-Ray, Tanyua, AJ, Lil Maina. AJ releases a lot of music, man. Shout out to AJ. He's always on the lists. So shout out to them. Let me see. What else did I listen to that was interesting? I want to say Silly by Mouth from Nowhere, and I still don't know how to pronounce. Is it he or hi? Very, very, very. What's the word I could say? It was very creative, and I like that.
Yeah.
What else did I listen to? Kafiat by Boondocks Gang. That was an interesting listen. Nganya by Tipsy G and Paroti also has a video which you guys should check out. They sampled Amejibeba by Flex, and bro, that Clemo sound will never die, and I hope it never dies because it's just one of the best sounds Kenya has ever produced. And I even went back to watch the video for Amejibeba, and I have so much to say about that video, which I will not say on this podcast. All I'm gonna say, it was a different time. It was a different time, and I loved it. I loved it. That's all I listened to this week. How about you?
Yeah, a couple of songs I enjoyed. I really enjoyed Zama by Calvo Mistari and Naiboy, especially for the hook. I think the hook was just very, very cool, very catchy with the crowd vocals and everything. Vocals, I said it like, let me not do that. They'll kill me. But then with the crowd vocals, it was pretty cool. King by Caterpillar. Caterpillar is you should know Caterpillar by now. He's a rapper. And he's one of the ones, I think Calligraph at some point was talking about him as being one of, was it Calligraph? I think it was. Don't quote me. But then being one of the rappers that he's like, he has his eye on. So, yeah. Zeji released Lost in the Cosmic. It is a 8-song project. If you know Zeji, if you've been following him, he has a very distinct sound in terms of what he's trying to do. Some of the beats on this project were just absolutely ridiculous. So shout out to him. Double It was one of them. The other one was, I think it was Space Mosh Pit that I really liked. Very, very hard beats and very different. I like that he's trying something different. He's not conforming specifically. So it's just to keep pushing. What else did I listen to? Fly released Spoils again. So, you just love a good Flyer release. And yeah, that was mostly what I listened to this week. And
I want to shout out. I want to shout out my boy Gitao. He released a song with Kanzu called Chocha. Just wanted to shout them out.
Yeah, shout out to them. Let's get to the pick. Do you want to introduce it, or do I?
Yes, sir, man. So, bro, Aziz. We already told you guys, Aziz releases music like every single day. So I don't know when he rests, but that's why he has 1 million monthly listeners, I guess. But he released a song with Ed and Ray, who are a producer duo. I guess they're also DJs. And the song is called Sillibo. And Sam and I both really, really like this song. And it's his vocals are so powerful as always. And I can't lie, man. It's the time of the unts. The unts is with nowadays I listen to this stuff and I'm like, wait, I actually like it a lot. Yeah, it's the time of the...
I don't know how I feel about unts.
It's the...
I like Afro House.
Yeah, same. Well, listen, Sam. The people have decided it's unts.
I guess
but
so.
yeah, man. I listened to it and I was just like, I really like this music. So we are going to play for the end of the podcast Sillibo by Ed and Ray and Id Aziz.
Sillibo.
That was Sillibo by Ed and Ray and Id Aziz. Shout out to you guys for dropping a banger.
Yeah.
Sam, see, that was a banger of a song.
It was indeed. And all of the songs that we do play, there's a playlist. I guess we should actually, like, we have a playlist, but we don't really push it out. Where we, since the beginning of time, not beginning of time, but then since we started recording, playing songs at the end of the episode. So we have a playlist on Spotify called the official 30% podcast official playlist, where we have all the songs and all the songs that we've picked. So if you just want to like see kind of what we thought were the better songs of the week, going back to when did we start doing that? 2023 sometime. Yeah,
yes,
you could check the podcast out. The podcast playlist out, and kind of just see what has been happening, see some of the music that has been released in terms of through our eyes. So yeah,
through the eyes of two Kenyan music producers.
Well,
guys.
Well,
if this is the first time that you're listening to the podcast, I like to end the podcast with the 3 C's, which is kind of like a mantra that I tell myself every week because I'm trying to get better as a human being. And the first C is confidence. I need you to be confident in your music, confident in the stuff that you're doing. Confidence sells, and that's what draws people to you. You need to be confident about your own work. Don't short sell yourself. And I know how producers are. Like when they're playing beats for like, and other producers in their room, they're always like, oh yeah, but it's not mixed yet, or like, well, you know what I mean. Sam knows what I'm talking about. You just have to be confident about your stuff. Number 2, consistency. Always be consistent in both how you're creating your content and how you're releasing it. In this age where everybody is an artist, everyone is a creative, people are even using AI at this point to create stuff. You kind of need to compete, and you can only be competitive by being consistent. That does not mean that you need to be releasing every day or every week, but have a set schedule and follow it. And lastly, craft. Always work on your craft. Every day, at least allot some time to work on what it is that you are creating. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Something small. Do something small. Even if it's just watching a video on YouTube on how to be better at your craft, that will help at the end of the day. Yeah, that's all for me, Sam.
All for me as well. We are done. And
we are. Yeah. Let's try and say it at the same time.
I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. Well, we'll catch you guys in episode 130.
See you on episode 130. I was trying to catch up with you.
I know. Yeah, no.